Hi friends, we'll start today's analysis. I think again a very brutal day for the Indian markets. I think the pain was very severe because of yesterday's price action. Yesterday, most people thought that the most of the tariffs are actually priced in, and actually probably the markets can move on from here on. The actual positive, which actually everybody draw from the yesterday's point of action was that on Vietnam we had around 46% tariff, we had China 54%. India was 26%, which was the lowest among the competitors which are actually exporting a lot of goods to US. So India thought, or let's say many people thought, India is now relatively placed in terms of lesser tariffs, which India will get a bigger competitive advantage, and that is why probably India should do well from here on. Also, Nifty Bank was supporting a lot, which is coming on as a safe haven, and which actually constitutes around 37%, 38% of the Nifty index. So people thought the Nifty का downfall यहाँ से limited है. IT already has fallen a lot. So probably this is the end of it, and probably we should not fall further. But I told yesterday also it was more of an expiry move. कल markets को manage किया गया था to Nifty Bank and some other stocks. We were about to fall. The reason is fall is very simple. It's not that the global markets are falling, and it's not that we have a lesser greater competitive advantage. So let's just spend some time on this. So if US markets are falling, which constitutes around 70% of equity market all around the world, how can India not fall? India also constitutes the same world. India is also a component or a country in the same world. How can we not fall? Second important reason. So US is around $30 trillion of economy. If at all the biggest economy in the world is slowing down, then how can the growth come? And if the growth of the world will come down, then how can India grow more? China is second engine, which is around $20 trillion. That will also slow down. Why it will slow down? China anyways is facing a growth challenge from last 2.5, 3 years. Since the time they are facing a major challenge in the property crisis. Remember, we told you that the property prices have wiped out $19 trillion of wealth of Chinese people. $19 trillion, which is equal to one time GDP of China. So people are under big distress. The savings have gone, it has evaporated. So they are hardly left with money. A lot of people are buying gold. Now that is also becoming difficult now. The data is saying now from last 1 or 2 months, the buying in gold for Chinese retail players and Indian retail players have reduced because of the higher cost of gold. And remember, we've been telling that gold will face some resistance now. It has grown a lot. It has actually, risen very sharply, and probably it is not a safe haven now. So if the top two countries, which is around $30 trillion and 19 to $20 trillion, if these both countries are slowing down, then how can you expect the world growth to go higher? And if the world growth is not higher, India also cannot grow. The same mistake they did in 2008 also, where people thought that the crisis is US centric, so US will fall, India should not fall. That is not the thing. We all are tied amongst ourselves. We are into a globalization era. We are into an era where there are a lot of exports, imports, banking transactions, financial transactions, property markets, NRI flows. There are a lot of interconnected things, currency wars here and there. So you can't expect that the world is slowing down and India will not slow down. So India should fall. And I think this fall was due yesterday, which will fallen today. Yes, yesterday's price session also gave me also a particular hope. And I also told yesterday that you can buy Nifty at a stop loss of 20 to 800. 20 to 800 is a very big support of Nifty. If that breaks down, then we are again looking for the levels of 22,000. But if that holds, I think we can still hope for a recovery. So 20,800 is still a very, very, very important support. I think market should respect it. But if the fall is very big in the global markets, India will also not sustain and will also fall. Whatever the thing, see, don't forget, we are still undergoing a 26% tariff. We might be competitive in respect to other countries as of now, at least in terms of tariffs. But the problem is 26% tariff have been imposed on us also, which means our exporters will face a problem. The margins will be lesser, and it will not be easy for world to now deploy their goods. And moreover, one more thing which we spoke in our previous videos also, कि जो bigger investments है. See, how do you go further? You want investments. You want investments to take the growth forward. वो नहीं होगा. So the private consumption, or it's the private investment which India was hoping for such a long time, which is not kicked up in such a long time, will also slow down now. So India को भी similar problem से गुजरना पड़ेगा. India will also face a problem that we will not have private investments coming in, which means that if investments don't come, money का circulation नहीं होता, आपका you don't take loans, and you don't take the borrowings come down, lending come down, which reduces the growth of the entire country. So don't think that if we are isolated as of now from the markets, we are safe. We are not safe. We will face similar kind of problems. That is for sure. Yes, we have fallen less within the other country, but China has also fallen less. It's not that, although Chinese markets are sometimes very difficult to say that they are truly showing their real picture, because generally they are compromised, generally they are. So we don't believe too much in the Chinese market, but look at the fall of US market yesterday. When we were closing our markets, Dow futures were down around 1,000 points. Nasdaq was down around 700 points. But look what happened in the actual session of US. Dow has fallen 1,670 points, 600 points higher. Nasdaq has fallen by around 1,000 plus points, 6% fall in Nasdaq. Now it is the biggest fall since COVID in US. So Dow also has fallen the most in a day after COVID, and US markets are now entering into deep correction territory. In fact, Dow has fallen around 10% or more, which is actually it has entered into correction territory. Nasdaq has fallen 18% from its high, which means it's very fast going into a bear territory. Uh, Russell 2000, which is their small case index kind of a thing, has fallen around 20 to 23%, which is already entered into a bear market. So US is also entering into a bear market. It is in a dismal shape. See what has happened to the Japanese market. Japan market has again fallen 3% today. It has also entered into a bear category. 42,000 का उसका high बना था. Now we're around 33,000 kind of levels, which is it has fallen more than 20%, which means it has also entered into a bear category. So Japan, which was one of the developed markets, has entered into a bear market. Nasdaq is very close to a bear market. Uh, Russell 2000 is already into a bear market. Hang Seng has also already entered into a correction territory. Hang Seng is now down around 12% or so. So it has entered into correction category. It might very soon enter into a bear market as well if these tariff wars continue. The problem with tariffs now will happen is the retaliation. Yesterday we got a news from Canada which told that we are putting the similar reciprocating tariff on the autos imports of US. So US के imports पे अब कनाडा ने 25% tariff already लगा दिया है. We are expecting कि retaliatory tariff आपको चाइना से जरूर दिखेगा, if not from Europe at least. China will definitely put some kind of reciprocal tariff on US, which means further pain, further slowdown in US. अब यूएस में जो कमेंट्रीज है वो क्या है कल तो जो वहाँ के बिगर ब्रोकरेजेस हैं उन्होंने ये बोला है कि द इन्फ्लेशन इन यूएस विल नाउ रिमेन अराउंड 4.9 to 4.5%. जो उनका अटलांटा फेड का जो डेटा आता है जीडीपी ग्रोथ दैट इज शोइंग -3.8% फॉर दिस क्वार्टर नाउ, -3.8%. सो इफ द टू कंसेक्यूटिव क्वार्टर्स में यूएस का जीडीपी ग्रोथ नेगेटिव आता है तो वी से दैट इट इज एंटर्ड इनटू अ रिसेशन. The chances of recession by JP Morgan has increased from to 60% now, which means now JP Morgan is betting कि 60% chances there जहाँ पे आपका recession आएगा ही आएगा. नमूरा का वो अपडेट या वो फोरकास्ट थोड़ा और बड़ा है, which means the major brokerages there are expecting now a recession in US, a slowdown in US. और ट्रम्प साहब ने क्या कहा? He came out and gave a statement in Truth Social. I am not worried about the markets. Market has slowed down. यहाँ से मार्केट में बहुत बड़ी तेजी होनी बाकी है. We are expecting around 7 to 8 trillion dollars of money to come back to US, which means the stock market will rise from here. We are already seeing how Trump and Elon Musk are fighting amongst ourselves. We are already seeing that how US is trying to threaten Iran, and we are expecting some kind of escalation in Iran and US in terms of war. Russia Ukraine थोड़ा settled है, but it is not settled again. And then we are seeing this kind of a brutal sell-off in across the markets, and the global economy will lead to a slowdown. I think I was seeing an IMF report which has reduced the forecast of the world growth by 1%. It's not small. 1% overall GDP growth lesser of the entire world, which is again very negative for all the markets. So things are happening in this way, and this is not easy. This is not something which can be uh, take it lightly. Dollar index yesterday it went to 101.5, but after that it has picked up by around 1 point, and now it is around 102.5, but still lower. Yesterday's dollar index action was actually 6 months lower. So dollar index is very quickly now reaching to 100, and probably now we will see levels of dollar index lesser than 100. Some people are saying that this was a calculated move by US think tank. This is a move, ex- uh, you know, uh, intentionally brought into the market so that the dollar index cools off and dollars actually reduces its price. This is what Trump wanted. This is what US wanted. They wanted the dollar index to remain down. It should remain cool off. Some people are saying that this was a conspiracy, this was a theory, this was a deliberated think tank move which is now executed. And now actually US is happy that US dollar is retreating. It is slowing down. We don't know what is the truth, but this is one theory which is coming up. US is very hopeful that most of the countries will bow down, and most of the countries will actually offer a good trading deals to US. US has told yesterday, I think there was a remark from Trump, I think, that he's ready to deal with China, provided China reduces the production or stops the production of fentanyl drug. This is the same drug which actually comes from to US from through Mexico also. There's a big drug racket in Mexico, which actually brings the drug to US. China is also a supplier of this drug to Mexico, through which it comes to US. So actually, US wants to reduce this entire uh, influence of China which is happening, and they're too late out of it. And frankly speaking, US is not wrong in whatever they're doing. See, they have been increasing their fiscal deficit. They have been printing money in order to fuel the growth of the entire world, to remain dollar as a reserve currency, to allow the dollars to remain in the market for the trades to happen. They have been actually, you know, increasing their deficit to keep the consumption higher of US at their own cost. But that is what they chose. इसका advantage China ने लिया. What US told is we'll just buy everything which is cheaper from the world. We will not manufacture ourselves. We'll just be a consumer, but let us have the cheapest consumers product, and let me increase my economy by consumption from the domestic economy. Don't forget, 75% of US GDP comes from consumption. That is the reason why Fed also wants the labor market to remain strong, the job losses should not happen, unemployment should not happen, and they want that circulation of money to keep on happening. This is what US chose for themselves. China just took an advantage of this policy from US. They told, if you want something cheap, let me provide you cheaper, and that is how this whole world started shaping up. जहाँ पे people started exporting to US as cheap as possible. US started consuming itself the more and more, and in terms reducing their manufacturing, and they're increasing their dependence on other countries, and that is how their trade deficits kept on increasing. This was a deliberate move from US, and it's now falling on their face, because you can't grow higher, you can't grow rich if you're not producing them yourselves. If you are only importing things, then your trade imbalances will always be higher. Your dollars will always remain stronger. Your exports will always become uncompetitive, and moreover, you are dependent on the countries, other countries which can take you for a ride. This is what was happening in US. So probably the intent of US is not wrong, to reshuffle the world, to realign its policies, to reshape the theories. But the way he has chosen to do the thing, probably that is wrong. He could have called his trading partners, his friends, allies to come together, sit down, ask them to, put their manufacturing plants in US, and that is how they should have grown. So if you see, Ireland, small country like Ireland, they are giving exports of $100 billion of pharma to US. And the biggest US companies have all put their headquarters and manufacturing plants in Ireland. तो आप एक आइलैंड किसी कंट्री को अलाउ कर रहे हो इतना बड़ा होना, for the consumption that you are doing, and you're allowing the country companies to manufacture the plant outside. So this is the biggest mistake US has done. If you are, if you are importing your medicines or let's say pharma products, allow the factories to settle in your own country. Make them policies so relevant to their needs, which will allow them to prosper. You have now stopped the migrated labor also because cheap labor. तो आपके पास लेबर नहीं है. You are anyways very high cost intensive industry. Then how will you go get those drugs cheaper? आपकी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कॉस्ट कैसे नीचे रहेगी? Your per capita cost is $80,000. Your per capita income is $80,000. इंडिया की $2,500 है. कैसे कंपैरिजन है? You will always find labor cheaper in India because the per capita cost itself is so less. So how can you compare these things and you want the manufacturing to come to US? But अगर आपको ये करना भी था तो this is not the way they should have done it because this will only bring decision to the world. You are, you're changing the order of the world, and the overall dynamics of the entire thing is getting shaken. And people will not come to your country to put factories because people have lost trust on you. How can a billionaire or anybody or any investor or let's say any person who wants to put a factory, can you believe Trump can put factory in US? I mean, his statements are changing every week, every month, every day. How can you believe a person like Trump, and who knows what happens after the next elections? Remember, he has actually turned down many policies of the previous administration. So what happens if he loses the election next time? And anyways, he's 78 years of old or 78 years of age. We don't know how much he can go further. If next time he loses and some other party comes in, let's say Democrats once again come into the power, you never know, these all policies can again go for a restart. So with this kind of uncertainty, this kind of dilemma, you can't expect the industries to come down. Remember a talk which happened between Japanese Prime Minister and US when he came down. He wanted to force the Japanese president to actually put a big steel factory plant in US. But it's not easy, and it will not happen overnight. It has to take time. And moreover, you need those kind of conducive environment to have those manufacturing happen. So US has taken a probably a wrong stance for a right thing, but a wrong way, and it will cost them a lot. See, they have done the same kind of things in 1930s also, I think somewhere in 1920s also, which actually brought the biggest Great Depression. The biggest economic crisis came in when they put this kind of tariffs on the world. So they're not taking lessons from their own actions. Probably they're again on the same path. But I assume that some countries will bow down to their needs, and the way he has probably put the kind of higher tariff which he actually aimed for, some negotiation will happen, and you will see actually some dollars coming to US. And that's the reason why I think dollar index is again picked up by around 1 point, once around 102.5. I don't expect people will not allow, or let's say not happen, not sit back and wait for things to happen. People will approach US, and they will admit to their terms. It's not that they will not admit to their terms. The only country which has now, as of now, put reciprocal tariff is only Canada. Mexico is silent. China has not told anything much. No reciprocal tariff as of now. India तो भूल ही जाइए अब. Russia has no chance. Japan, I don't think there will be any tariff at all whatsoever. European Union का एक 50-50 chance है, but let's see. I don't think it should happen very fast. But US has also lost all their friends in this process. They should have at least brought their allies together. They together should have taken this war. They should have fought this war, wherein they would have told their partners that we want to bring prosperity again to US. We want some manufacturing to happen. We want to reverse our policies. I think country would have supported them. Every country was saying, okay, let us sit down, discuss. Nothing happened actually. European Union was very eager to meet US, Japan. They wanted to reach a deal. It didn't happen at all. So yes, US have been treated badly, but this is what US has chosen for themselves. They actually got these kind of lower tariffs for themselves. They wanted the products to be cheaper in US because they wanted to churn their economy because of consumption. That is how things happen. So this is the global setup. The biggest worry is now the slowdown of the world, which is dominated by China and US. Let's see what happens. Let's see whether we can strike some kind of deal between US and China, whether these tariffs can go down. People are actually laughing on the way the calculations have been done. They also put tariffs on Antarctica where nobody lives. They put tariffs on a very small island of 2,000 people in Australia. So the tariffs mathematics have been criticized a lot. The US Trump actions have been criticized a lot. Let us see how long it goes and probably how fast we can reach to a again equilibrium, or let's say we again start rolling back. We see some things rolling back again and come to a neutral kind of a stage. Remember, I told yesterday also that Vietnam का भी ऐसे ही हुआ था when they were fighting a war. When they thought they cannot win it, they just declared a self victory. Similar thing will happen probably for the tariffs also. Uh, Trump is very vocal in whatever a country takes actions for them. For example, India was trying to reduce the tariffs, so he was very vocal in saying India हमारे यहाँ झुक गया है. India started reducing the tariffs. This is how he will start declaring his self victory for whatever countries will come down to their negotiations. Whatever country will come down or agree to their terms, he will start declaring self victory and probably show to the people that I have delivered my uh, election speech, or let's say I delivered whatever I told for my election propaganda. That will be a self declared victory, and probably things may start again coming to a neutral. This is only a hope. Until then, market will remain circumspect. The market will remain nervous, and you will see this kind of equity outflows happening around the world. European markets fall very badly yesterday, around 3% down, and on average, we saw Japan yesterday about 3.5% down, today again 3% down. US markets, yesterday we saw what has happened, and today again, when we are closing, Dow futures were down around more than around 400 points. So we're expecting another 1% cut in US, at least in Dow Jones. Let's see how the actual session pans out, but this is how at least the sessions have been telling. Coming to the Indian markets. So Indian markets will respond to the global markets, will not be isolated. The sectors which are affected drastically by US or let's say the global setups are one is metal. So we saw 6.5% cut in metal index. Yesterday they didn't react. Again, it was a policy. I told yesterday also metals. How can metals grow when the two of the biggest economies are actually slowing down? मैंने कल भी कहा था कि Nifty metal should fall down. It's on we've seen around 6% cut. Nifty Pharma, which everybody was raising the collar. मैंने कहा था कि Pharma कुछ नहीं होगा, Pharma कुछ नहीं होगा. Yesterday, I think some reporter asked a question to Mr. Trump, and he remembered, oh, I have not put any tariffs on Pharma. Let me put that. So he told, I will be putting tariffs on Pharma, but a different formula and different setup. But we'll see higher tariffs on Pharma as well. So Pharma index reacted today, and it fell around 4.5%. Let's say 5% in an intraday at the highest level. Then I think around 4 to 4.2% is what the fall in the Pharma index was. So one of the strongest sector pharma has also fallen more than 15%. So that is also an index which everybody thought to be a safe haven has also fallen. IT index has fallen around 33% from its peak. 33%. It has IT index has touched a high, a peak of around 46,000, and now it is trading around 33,000. But it is now coming to a close levels where generally in levels of buying आती है. So IT is very slowly, not slowly I would say, but it's very close to now it's forming a base, or let's say its bottom level. It should form because यहाँ पे उनको comfort या वहां से retaliatory buying generally आती है. But the IT index at least in the morning was still higher than the valuations of pre-COVID. अब शायद इस कट के बाद वो शायद उस लेवल पे पहुंचेंगे जहाँ पे I have to check, I have not checked those levels, but I think it is reaching to a level जहाँ पे pre-COVID के आपके valuations शायद अब IT में दिखने लगेंगे. We have to check again and come back to you on that. But IT index reaching to a stage जहाँ से generally buying आती है. It's not that we can't go break those levels and we can't trade further down. लग तो ऐसे ही रहा है कि IT index will fall more. The reason is कि हमने हमेशा बात करी थी Nasdaq was grossly overvalued. और मेरे ख्याल से Nasdaq अभी भी overvalued है. Even US markets अभी भी overvalued है. Reason is very simple. मैंने हमेशा बात करी है US का contribution to the world GDP is 30%. But the contribution of the stock market is 70%. सो एक बहुत ही बड़ा मिसमैच है यूएस के मार्केट्स के ऊपर और their GDP overall. So this has to correct. It cannot remain so high. That is why they trade around 200% of their GDP. The capital markets, the overall market capitalization of American index before this fall was around 206% of their GDP. This which is just not normal, and it is unbelievable. So it should fall. It should fall more actually. But let's say because US generally believes in the exceptionalism. Most of the people believe in US exceptionalism, and that is why they invest a lot in US markets. I don't know whether it's the right approach or not. I personally feel that's not the right approach. US has their own set of problems, and the biggest reason why the flows were coming to US, especially in Nasdaq, was due to the AI theory, the AI move, the AI revolution. But DeepSeek has told you that this is not the story of US alone. There are other people who can make the similar story in much lesser cost. Remember, DeepSeek was one tenth the cost of ChatGPT, or let's say of those models, and technology wise and performance wise almost equal, or let's say even superior. So it is telling to the world that it is time for you to rethink. So that is why I probably feel that Nasdaq is still overvalued. I don't know how much correction will happen in this particular fall, but it is still grossly very overvalued. One speech I was hearing from Mr. Piyush Goyal, our Commerce Minister, and I liked the speech where he was telling that India cannot boast anything about the startups. You're right. The biggest startups we boast for are Zepto, Swiggy, uh, Zomato, kind of, or let's say Naukri, or let's say, Manage.com, Shaadi.com, all those online services that we have launched. These are nothing. These are not discoveries. These are not big startups. These are not changing the human mankind. So imagine Zomato as the success story, which is only giving you food delivery to your home. I mean, that is the will we call this as a bigger startup? Can we be happy out of it? Or we'll be happy something which China is doing in terms of let's say deep sea, which our IT industry actually boasts about. We proclaim ourselves as the biggest IT leaders, but we have no deep sea. Or imagine let's say China has made a battery which will charge your vehicle only 1 hour. Right now it takes around 7 to 8 hours to charge your battery to charge your vehicle. Now they have produced or let's say invented a battery which can only charge a vehicle in just 1 hour. Let's say the battery gets charged just 1 hour. So those are the innovations, those are the products, those are the manufacturing, entrepreneurship, innovation people are looking for. India is actually much, much behind. That is the reason why we are only growing at around 16.5%. That is coming out of an over internal consumption. I mean, I was hearing a speech from Chidambaram wherein told that अगर इंडिया कुछ भी नहीं करेगा ना, if the global leader, if the Indian political machine is not doing anything also, then also we grow at 5.5%. क्योंकि हमारा इंटरनल कंजम्पशन ऐसे है बढ़ते रहते हैं प्लस इन्फ्लेशन because we have that the demographics in place which allows those changes to happen. Imagine we have spent 5 lakh crores in Kumbh. Which other country can do that? 5 lakh crore का money circulation हुआ in Kumbh itself. I am from Rajasthan. I am from Jaipur. We spent 15 days in Gangor festival. I don't know how much amount of money we have spent there. So we are such kind of country जहाँ पे consumption होता है अपने आप. We are driven by values. हमारे इतने festivals हैं. We spend a lot. Churning of money always happens. Plus we are savings driven economy. So India needs more GDP growth. I was listening a video from I think Vijay Kedia, which we told that we can never become China if we were growing at around 6.5% kind of a growth. We want to grow at 9.5, 10% kind of a GDP growth to become like China in 20 years. The biggest fallacy will be, guys, that we become old without becoming rich. इंडिया की आज एवरेज एज 29 years है, but after 30 years we'll all be old, and if we don't become rich by then we can never become rich because then we will have around 70 crore, more than 60% population who is adult. तो अभी आपके पास ये है कि there are two young ones to feed one adult. That time you will have one young one to feed 3 adults. वो रेशियो बिगड़ जाएगा. उस टाइम पे आप खर्चा नहीं कर पाओगे, कंजम्पशन नहीं होगा और आपकी इकोनॉमी ग्रो नहीं होगी. सो वी हैव द लास्ट 20 years टू ग्रो, जिसको हम बोलते हैं अमृत काल 2047. आई थिंक दिस इज द टाइम till time we should grow up. I don't know if it will happen or not, but it is not at this pace, at least not with this kind of mindset. Our entrepreneurs, our IT engineers, let's say the biggest qualified people are not producing. They're not. They're not. They're not innovating themselves. उनकी entrepreneurship skills या उनकी entrepreneurial thought process अभी बहुत छोटी है. I don't think we can grow by doing that. We can grow what Tata's have done, something like aspiring something very big, who are doing some big takeovers, acquisitions outside India, and those kind of big game changers, taking risks and then growing big. I don't know if it happened or not, but this is what India is all about. So I like that speech from Mr. Kamal, Mr. Piyush Goyal, and he was not happy, and so as I. Can't be happy with just one Zomato and Swiggy and all, when we can say that we are into a big startup ecosystem. We are not probably. And we have many startups failing, which is probably okay. Many startups fail all around the world, but to grow bigger with manufacturing, industrialization, innovation, that is not there. That should happen fast. We hope so it happens or not. Coming to the Indian markets. Indian markets have broken down 23,150 level very, very, very easily. It was told as a biggest support, but it was demolished today in just one whip. 23,000 also we could not hold. हमने उसके नीचे क्लोज दे दिया. The biggest support now is 22,800. जब तक उसके ऊपर है हम बोल सकते हैं कि we have some strength. But if we start falling below 22,800, which means that will become a fresh rally of uh, downward trend, जहाँ पे we can test 22,000 once again. The only index which is keeping Nifty higher is Nifty Bank. It has around 37, 38% of weightage in Nifty. क्योंकि वो resilient है, वो नहीं गिर रहा है. That is why the Nifty is not falling. अगर Bank Nifty दोबारा अपने lows को touch कर ले, which is around 48,000, you will see Nifty slipping down below its last tested levels of around 21,960, 970 odd. वो भी टेस्ट होगा, हो सकता है अगर बैंक निफ्टी आपको रिजेक्शन जाएगा. तो अभी एज ऑफ नाउ, सिंस बैंक निफ्टी सपोर्टिंग इट, द मार्केट्स आर थ्राइविंग. Remember, the results from Dabur was not, the quarterly update from Dabur was not good. We got only a slight decent update from DMart. I will not call it pretty decent also. It went for a big cut today. HDFC Bank has given you a good update. So उतना तोड़ फोड़ अपडेट नहीं है, बट एटलीस्ट व्हाट वाज एक्सपेक्टेड उसको तो डिलीवर कर दे. पीपल वर हैप्पी. रिमेंबर जो निफ्टी बैंक की जो बाइंग आ रही है, दैट इज ओनली कमिंग एज अ सेफ हेवन. इट्स नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ वेरी बिग एक्सपेक्टेड रिजल्ट्स. क्योंकि वो एक सेफ हेवन की तरह काम कर रहा है इस वक्त. वैल्यूएशन सबसे चीप है वहां पे. डिसेंट ग्रोथ आपको नजर आ रही है, तो लोगों को लग रहा है कि दिस विल नॉट फॉल मच. दैट इज व्हाई यू आर सीइंग निफ्टी बैंक. इट्स लाइक जैसे पहले हम बात करते थे आईटी इज सेफ हेवन, फार्मा इज सेफ हेवन, एफएमसी इज सेफ हेवन. अब लोगों ने निफ्टी आईटी can't rely on, निफ्टी can't rely on. People are relying on to some extent निफ्टी FMCG. आज it was pretty neutral, it was pretty flat, and निफ्टी बैंक. निफ्टी फार्मा rely कर सकते because वो ट्रम्प ने बोल दिया now the you can again call for some kind of tariffs there. आईटी तो रुक ही नहीं रहा है, metals में हो नहीं सकता. तो you are seeing actually निफ्टी बैंक as a safe haven buying. That is the reason it is not falling today, because the valuation gap बहुत ज्यादा हो. वहां पे वैल्यूएशन कंफर्ट वाकई बहुत ज्यादा है. तो रिमेंबर एचडीएफसी बैंक हैज बीन गिविंग यू अर्निंग्स. इट इज गिविंग यू अराउंड 65,000 crores of profit every year, but the stock has not done anything for last 4 years. So प्रॉफिट तो ऐड हो ही रहा है, मार्केट कैप बढ़ ही रहा है, एंड स्टॉक इज नॉट डन एनीथिंग. वहां पे कंफर्ट आता है लोगों को. पीपल फील कंफर्ट. तो अगर सेलिंग करनी है निफ्टी मेटल से, मुझे बाहर निकलना है, अगर लोगों ने अपने एसआईपी को रिडीम नहीं किया है, तो यू हैव टू प्लेस योर मनी समवेयर. पीपल आर सीइंग दिस इन निफ्टी बैंक अ लॉट. That is the reason why Nifty Bank is not falling. HDFC Bank का अपडेट उतना अच्छा नहीं था कि वो 2-3% बढ़ जाए. Pretty neutral, okay kind of thing. Because 5% advances growth को अच्छा नहीं बोल सकते किसी भी एंगल से. पर ठीक है, वो उनका मजर हुआ है. They wanted their books to become slowly okay, just happening in that way. So Nifty Bank इससे resilient था और इसने निफ्टी को उसे गिरने नहीं दिया. बट अगर आपके रिजल्ट्स खराब आएंगे निफ्टी बैंक के, तो यू विल see a fall in Nifty Bank also, and probably will see how index is going down forward. हमारी स्ट्रेटेजी क्या होनी चाहिए? आई थिंक इट्स accumulation zone. If you are an investor, please accumulate. There is no denial from this fact. Please accumulate, whether it is metals, whether it is IT, whether it is any other stocks, whichever you like. जो इंडस्ट्री आपको अच्छी लगती है, बिकॉज आपको ये अच्छे प्राइस में मिल रहे हैं. 1 year down the line, when all these things will settle down, जो आपके रास्ते बन जाएंगे, क्लैरिटी आ जाएगी, all these sectors will do phenomenally well. मैं अभी भी मानता हूँ कि यूएस के अंदर प्राइसेशन नहीं आने वाला है. They have those tools to take care of it. Fed will actually bounce in, they will come in. I think today there is a statement for power also. Just watch that. Probably I'll post also of what he has told. But there's one speech today lined up from Powell in US. We also have some non payroll farm data, employment data also from coming from US today. Let's see how it comes. The market is not responding to it. क्योंकि वो previous data है तो market उसको ज़्यादा तवज्जो नहीं है. But anyways, let's see how the data comes, and Powell's speech is really important, very important today. Let's see how it goes. So FMCG में हमारा एक ही अपडेट है, we're not happy. DMart अपडेट है, it's not good, it's not bad. 17% का growth है, which is I think it happened in last quarter also. But उनके profit नहीं आते. The problem with DMart is the margins. Although they've added some 21 stores, so their stores count has gone up, but still the margin का जो pressure है, वो DMart पे भी है. Because of the online delivery system जो उनको margin pressure आ रहा है, वो हमें देखना होगा, वो रिजल्ट नहीं पता चले. वो वॉल्यूम ग्रोथ दिखा देते हैं अपडेट के अंदर, स्टॉक भाग भी जाता है, और आज नहीं भागा 520. एचडीएफसी बैंक अपडेट ठीक था. बैंक्स की अपडेट, I mean, I'm not very happy with the credit growth, frankly speaking. So, I'm taking that as a pinch of salt. बट एक चीज अच्छी हो रही है कि जितना आपका डिपॉजिट ग्रोथ हो रहा है उतना आपका क्रेडिट ग्रोथ हो रहा है, वो बैलेंस आ गया. पहले ये हो रहा था कि डिपॉजिट ग्रोथ कम हो रहा था और लोन ग्रोथ ज्यादा था, तो प्रेशर था, नींद से प्रेशर आता था, और कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल प्रेशर आता था कि हम पैसा कहाँ से लेके आए, हाउ टू ब्रिंग चीप कैपिटल, बिकॉज वहाँ पे एक लोन ग्रोथ था. बट जब से आरबीआई ने वो अनसिक्योर्ड लोन्स के ऊपर एक सख्ती बरती है, दे कम वेरी हार्ड ऑन दोस. And I think now with the stock markets going down and deposits also coming back to the banking system, तो वो एक balance आ गया, which is again a positive for the bank. And don't forget, we have a RBI policy on 9th April. We are expecting one more rate cut. Not expecting, it will happen. One more rate cut we'll get in April, which will bring down the cost of funds for banks. That's again a positive for banks in certain way. Those positives are still so, and crude is also again a big positive. Crude is now trading at the lows of December 21. So around 3.5 years के low पे है. So Brent was trading around $67. Yesterday, OPEC has what they were set to announce increase of production, but they were set to announce around 1.4 lakh barrels. Against that, they've actually announced an increase in production of 4.2 lakh barrels, so around 3 times. जिसको मार्केट ने बिल्कुल लैच ऑन किया. They crushed actually the Brent prices yesterday, and today again we saw around 3.5%. US market खुलने से पहले ही we are seeing a cut in the prices drastically, which is again a big positive for our country. हमने पहले ही बात करी है कि अगर आपका $10 से क्रूड ऑयल कम होता है, so our current account deficit reduces by around $20 billion. हमारा CPI inflation reduces by around 0.2-0.3%, and WPI inflation reduces by around 1%. तो हमारे लिए क्रूड तो lesser crude cost is actually a safe haven, and it probably will continue now. जब हमने प्रोडक्शन इंक्रीज कर दिया है तो प्रोबेबली आई डोंट थिंक द प्राइसेस विल शूट अ लॉट. हो सकता है यहाँ से ज़्यादा गिरे ना, बट वी कांट एक्सपेक्ट अ बिग लिफ्ट इन द क्रूड प्राइसेस. सो कंसिडरिंग ऑल दिस थिंग्स, अभी भी इंडिया के लिए पॉजिटिव है. सो फॉर इन्वेस्टर्स, कंटिन्यू योर SIPs, कंटिन्यू accumulating stocks, and start buying. There's no harm, there's no problem at all, there's no issue at all. For the traders, there is no trade as of now. You should wait for 22,800 to hold. Wait for 3-4 days, how things settle down, कैसे बाकी कंट्रीज रिएक्ट करते हैं, नहीं करते हैं, क्या ट्रेडिंग्स होते हैं, किसके बेनिफिट होता है, किसके नहीं होता है, ये कहाँ सेटल होता है, उसके बाद आप ट्रेड करिए. मार्केट कहीं भाग के नहीं जा रहे हैं, नॉट गोइंग एनीवेयर. 22,800 के स्टॉप लॉस से अगर आप लॉन्ग पोजीशन लेना चाहते हो तो ले सकते हैं. देयर इज नो इशू एट ऑल. रीजन की निफ्टी आईटी काफी गिर चुका है, क्योंकि निफ्टी काफी गिर चुका है, एंड निफ्टी बैंक इज रेजिलिएंट. तो हो सकता है कि निफ्टी यहाँ पे सपोर्ट ले ले. अगर लग गया स्टॉप लॉस, दैट इज वन रिस्क. यू हैव 100 पॉइंट्स. You want to take the 100 points, you can take a trade. There's no issue at all. 22,800 is the stop loss. That has to be a stress stop loss. 22,800. उसके नीचे will become very bad. Now will only become good if we cross about 23,150. जो हमारा पुराना सपोर्ट था वो रेजिस्टेंस बन गया. उसके ऊपर क्रॉस करते हैं तभी हम पॉजिटिव होंगे, तभी हम स्ट्रांग होंगे. उससे पहले नेगेटिव रहेंगे. So 22,800, 22,150 this is the support and this is the resistance. We'll trade below it. The traders who are who know how to take risk, who know how to manage risk, and who are expert traders, skilled traders, can take their calls. There is no harm, but otherwise it's very difficult to trade in these markets. Let things settle down. For investors, invest. There is no issue at all. So this was my analysis for today. I hope you would have liked it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.